him afterwards and thank him for coming out in the rain.
Yes.
It's not like I walk.
No.
We're on.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you all here on this beautiful day. There's the sun shining up there somewhere, I'm certain of it, but thank you for joining us today. It's always a special time together, and we're grateful you chose to be here this morning. I don't think anyone is here for the very first time. First time? Would a gift bag maybe be appropriate here, Tamara? I think right here, behind Paul here. We'll just give you a little gift bag from the church. Good to have you here today. And I think the rest of us are all old timers. I mean that in a positive sense. Okay, many thanks to you and everyone joining us online too for your presence with us and for your ongoing support of the church with those tithes that come in through the mail or via PayPal or through the website, unitydelawareohio.org, or in the baskets here on the back tables. We are appreciative of your ongoing support. I always like to start, first of all, with a thank you. We're so grateful to have Lizzie Miller and Michael Contras here doing music today. Yeah, going to hear some lovely Christmas music, I think. And just a few things coming up I always like to highlight so you just know if there's something you want to take advantage of. Yoga this Thursday, of course, as usual, Tamara. Yeah. Yogi Tamara, 1 o'clock in the fellowship area and back. It's suitable for people at every level of yoga, and it's on a donation basis. We're having what I'm calling a Christmas remembrance service this Tuesday, the 17th, 7 o'clock here. It's kind of a new service for us, but I think a helpful one for us this time of year. There's so many loved ones no longer with us, but still so present in our hearts and minds. So it's a kind of an opportunity to gather. You can bring a photo to share if you like. Put it on we'll have a candle lighting table up front here. We'll light candles. We'll listen to some readings. We'll listen to some beautiful music by Michael at the keyboard. And we'll show, toward the end of that, we'll show the video, the memorial video that many of you sent photos in for, which Michael's also a talented videographer, so he puts it together with beautiful accompaniment music and all these photos of our dear ones. So that is Tuesday, 17th at 7. I hope you'll join us. We're going Christmas caroling on Thursday, the 20th at 4 o'clock. Joe and I have set it up. Joe will be taking his guitar. If anyone of you would like to join us for a little caroling, it's Thursday at Abington of Powell. One of our former members lives there. And we're going to carol there at 4 o'clock on Friday, the 20th. We have little booklets. If anyone of you would like to join us, you're sure welcome to meet us at Abington of Powell. Bill Cohen and friends, Joe and I are in there somewhere. Bill Cohen is doing a new concert on the winter solstice. And that's coming up Saturday, 21st. I can't believe that's already here. Next Saturday is the winter solstice, and that's going to be at the Unitarian Church at 93 West Weisheimer Road. Bill does a great job with these concerts, always does, and we are delighted to join him for that. 7 o'clock, it's on a donation basis. That's on Saturday the 21st. And of course, we'll be having our Christmas Eve candle lighting service here on the 24th. It's a Tuesday evening, 7 o'clock. We light candles, we celebrate the light in all of us, and it's always a beautiful, sacred time to get together on that evening. It's a short service, and we don't linger long afterwards because it's Christmas Eve, but I do hope you can join us for that. I think that's it. I've talked too long already. Okay, so we will begin to think about prayer, get a little more comfortable in our chairs, set everything aside, maybe relax, take a breath. And Lizzie and Michael will lead us into prayer with the traditional Christmas song, Lo, How a Rose Ere Blooming.
Jesse's lineage coming.
eyes for a moment and maybe take another deep breath and allow ourselves to become very centered and still and receptive, alert to that power and presence that flows through us, that dwells within us, that we live and move and have our being within that power and presence of God. We are wide open to God's influence in this moment, wide open to healing energy flowing through us, to renewing life, wide open to that steadying peace that is within us, like a deep wellspring that never goes dry. We are wide open to the wisdom of God in us, the guidance that comes direct from source. Our minds and hearts are wide open to God's influence. We are ready to be renewed with new hope, with encouragement, with new heart. And we declare that truth for all those we are lifting up in prayer this morning. Not one is separate from that power and presence. Not one is disconnected. God's life and love and peace are always available to us by day and by night, moment by moment. So we keep our hearts wide open, our minds ready to receive that deep wisdom from within. And we follow the light that God sets on the path before us. So we come out of this time of prayer with grateful hearts and minds, knowing God is with us in all challenges, in all situations, in all times and places. And we are grateful. And so it is. Amen. All right, Lizzie's going to do another song. This is by Jan Garrett and J.D. Martin, and it's a beautiful song for the solstice, and that's what it's called, Solstice Song.
Deep in the darkest winter night, here with my candle burning, cozy and warm inside the light, now that the year is turning. What does the future hold in store? Where has our journey brought us? How can we learn from what's gone before? What has experience taught us? We are the future. We can reach for the stars. We feel at home in our own backyard. We want to be who we are. Friendship will light the darkest hours. True love will hold the vision. Peace and goodwill on earth is ours. Let it be our decision. We are the future. We can reach for the stars. We feel at home in our own backyard. We want to be who we are. Deep in the darkest winter night, here with my candle burning, cozy and warm inside the light, now that the year is turning. Feel how the year is turning.
Thank you so much, Lizzie. Michael, thank you. All right, we're speaking about hope today is my topic. Hope in a dark time. And there aren't any jokes about hope. There's none. I didn't find one. But I did sort of find some jokes about its opposite. These are cynic jokes. These are jokes about cynics. Do you know why New Yorkers are so cynical? For them, the light at the end of the tunnel is New Jersey. What do you call a room full of cynical plumbers? A skeptic tank. Skeptic tank. And where does the cynic go to pray? It's a synagogue. Synagogue, yeah, okay. And how many cynics does it take to screw in a light bulb? Doesn't matter, the light bulb's going to burn out anyway. And I like some of these quotes. These are kind of interesting. Inside every cynical person, there's a disappointed idealist. George Carlin said that. He was a big cynic, as I recall, in his humor. George Patton said, watch what people are cynical about, and you'll often discover what they lack, what they lack in their lives. And I thought this one was just funny. It's not attributed to anybody. I want to be less cynical, but I know that'll never happen. They're kind of funny. I like to laugh at cynicism. And we're talking kind of about that today. I was just very struck this year. I read the Christmas stories again every year, like many of you probably do, and the Christmas characters and those nativity stories at the beginning of Matthew and at the beginning of Luke. And I was just really struck this year as I was looking through them again, thinking about how hopeful all those characters are in a really difficult environment. It's a very dark time. It's oppressive, it's violent, there's lots of cruelty and political divisiveness and turmoil and lack. All kinds of struggles and challenges and darkness. And yet, in this world of chaos and violence, this group of diverse and ordinary folks like us have this come in contact with the grace of God. They receive guidance, and it changes their lives. It doesn't change the world around them. Any changes that will be later, probably. They just proceed in trust. Very open-ended, but they all move forward with great resilient hope. I think there's some wonderful lessons in those stories for us, and in how those characters live in the face of these great challenges and access that hope within them. But I think the same grace is available to us, and it can do the same life-changing work in us, regardless of the circumstances or the challenges or the darkness around us. The Christmas characters are all waiting, and they're hopeful. Mary's told not to be afraid. She's going to bear a holy child. And she says, let it be with me according to your word. She moves forward. She accepts. She has no idea exactly what she's accepting or where it's going to go, where it's going to lead her. Let it be with me according to this guidance. I'll follow it. I'll follow it. She goes for a few months to stay with her cousin Elizabeth, who is also with child and waiting expectantly for a new life. It's in late life. They had given up on having a child, and yet guidance came to them. So they go and share together their excitement about the new life that's about to come forth from them. Elizabeth, of course, is the one who brings forth John the Baptist, who kind of prepares the way. And Mary hears things about this holy child she's going to bear, and she ponders these things in her heart. There's a lot of hopefulness in that. And they're hopeful together. Joseph is told not to be afraid. Take this woman as your wife. He receives guidance about how to move forward. He does as the angel instructed, starts a new life in this unusual circumstances. He's full of hope. He doesn't know what's going to happen. There aren't any details given, just like in our lives. How's it going to be a year from now? What do I need to do? What are the specifics here? We can't get them. They didn't have them, and they move forward with hopefulness, with expectancy. The shepherds out in the field, living in the fields, they saw an angel, a heavenly host, sang praises to God. They were told about the birth of a special holy child, and they decide, let us go and see this thing that has taken place. There's a lot of hopefulness in that, a lot of readiness to move forward, even into the unknown. And the wise men from the east see this star that they know hails the birth of an amazing holy child, and they decide among themselves, let us follow this star. They don't know where they're going. They're just going to follow it. They're going to just step out with great expectancy and great hopefulness. And they're protected as they continue following that guidance. They get guidance that says, go back by, they see the child, they give gifts, they celebrate and give praise, and then they're warned in a dream, go back to your country by another road. There's political turmoil here. Your lives are threatened, and so they follow that guidance home, taking with them in their hearts this hopefulness. A child has been born, a seed has been planted, there's this air of expectancy and potential. Hope is, for them in the Christmas stories, their hope is, it's sort of grounded with a sense of promise. Something has been planted, something is growing that's going to be a blessing for us all. It's open-ended. It's not geared to any specific results. It's not about wishing for things to happen or wishing things would be different. Wishing is always about specifics. I wish this would happen. I wish I had more of this. Or, no, this is an open-ended hopefulness that's very, not geared to anything specific, being hopeful. That really resonates with me because I think I wish too often in life, and wishing is not powerful. Hope is powerful. Wishing is flimsy. Wouldn't you agree? It's a flimsy thing. We wish things all the time. But hope is, no, it goes deeper than that. It's grounded in us. And it's patient. Patient. Hope for the Christmas characters, they don't have any timeline. They know something is growing, something exciting, something that's, life-changing, but they don't know when, and they just move forward. I think those are great lessons for us about hope. And I've been kind of thinking about that all week, what hope really is. So I've got some quotes here from some of our more contemporary teachers. This is a writer by the name of Václav Havel. He says, hope is a state of mind, not of the world. It's a state of mind, it's not a state of the world. It's an orientation of the spirit and of the heart, and it transcends the world that is immediately experienced and is anchored somewhere beyond its horizons. Yeah, it's something like that. It's not the same as a joy that everything is going well, and hoping, wishing that will happen again. It's stronger than that. It's grounded. Krista Tippett, one of my favorite podcast people, onbeing.org is her podcast. I listen to it a lot. She says that hope is a muscle, and it's a muscle we can strengthen, we can work with, and we can strengthen. It's not the same as kind of idealism or optimism. It's something we work with. And she says it's at once fierce and persistently joyful. There's an intention about it. It's a muscle. And she sees that as this quality of hope as fundamental to the generation of new life, new energy. Got to have hope. And then I like this about hope is a practice, like Tai Chi or gardening, something we do rather than just have. Hope is realistic. It's a writer by the name of Howard Zinn. I think I've read a couple of his books. He says hope is actually realistic. We don't tend to think of that. We tend to think hope is maybe Pollyanna-like, No, it's persistent, and it's brought about by intention. It's something we work with, that we strengthen. And Howard Zinn says it's a realistic thing, because to be hopeful in difficult times, it's not foolish or romantic. It's realistic because human life and human beings are this mixture of both cruelty, violence, ignorance, delusion, but also compassion and courage and kindness and amazing generosity. We've seen all of that in human life, have we not? Down through history and in our own lives, it's not one thing or the other. When we are feeling helpless, a little hopeless, or cynical or despairing, we forget that. And it's unrealistic to begin to think that everything is wrong, everything is black, everything is dark. Not true. It is not true. Human life is a mixture of things. And so if we can remember the times when people have behaved beautifully, have been tremendously generous or courageous or kind, that gives us energy to move forward, and it's really more realistic. And if we do move forward and act, even in small ways, Howard Zinn says we don't have to wait for some grand utopian future to live now as we think human beings should live, in defiance of all that is bad around us, is itself a marvelous victory. Amen to that? Amen. I like that statement a lot. It is a marvelous victory. If in the midst of whatever circumstances we're dealing with, we decide we're going to show up in kindness and courage and love and compassion for others and do the work we've been guided to do before us, that's a marvelous victory. It's an amazing thing. So what are the steps we take? If we agree hope is important, is critical to being able to move forward in life, in energy and using our gifts, how do we cultivate that? How do we build more hope in our hearts? I think I came up with 4 or 5 here. I can't remember, but I think the first one is remembering that it is a choice, hope, and choosing it. It's not something that depends on circumstances being just right. It's a choice we make no matter what. It's a daily choice. There really is no other better choice. Cynicism is not a very good choice. Cynicism shuts us down. It can make us bitter, angry. Wishful thinking, really no power there. There's not much power in that. I've tried that a lot. Any other wishful thinkers? I've done that one a lot. I don't find that very powerful. So really, hope is the only one that really makes sense as a response, even though we try these other things. Cynicism is really sort of a defense mechanism, I think. We take it on, and I've been cynical before. I think it comes and goes for us. It's a sort of a defense, a protection against sorrow, against disappointment. It's a protection, a defense against these feelings of hopelessness or helplessness. We get cynical to kind of protect ourselves. And we try to convince ourselves we don't care, but of course we do. We do care. So that always fails. And when we get cynical, we feel dispirited, disheartened. Would you agree? Like it takes the energy out of our sails. Maria Popova, a writer I admire, she says, cynicism is a calcification of the soul. Hope is a stretching of its ligaments, a limber reach for something greater. I like that idea too. There's a man I admire a lot, his work with an org he founded called the Equal Justice Initiative. I don't know whether any of you would have heard of him, but he's a lawyer, and his particular specialty is trying to defend those who have been imprisoned unjustly. Many of them have spent years and years in jails and have not been heard. And he demonstrates their innocence, and he's gotten a lot of these poor individuals out of jail cells. And he's seen the worst. He sees the worst side of human culture and how cruel people can be and all of that. But he says you can't give in to hopelessness. If you become hopeless, you're part of the problem. He says hope is our superpower. It's our superpower if we can continue to show up in hope, persistently hopeful like the Christmas characters. It opens up all kinds of possibilities for us. Cynicism closes them all down. So part of our choosing hope, I think, is trying to catch ourselves when we're slipping into cynicism or despair. Catch ourselves, have a little brain huddle, like we were talking about a few weeks ago. Parts of our brain, let's talk about, is there really a reason to be cynical? Is everything really dark? Or are there other possibilities here that I'm not aware of? And begin to shift your mind out of that dark place. So as we have that choice every day, cynicism or hope, choose hope. It's the one that keeps things open and keeps your mind and heart open and brings forth new possibilities. So choose hope. Be aware it's a choice and choose it. Second one is, I think is important. Adopt a strategy for dealing with the world in a way that doesn't undermine your hope. And it can be tricky in this era of so much news and social media and so much information blasting at us from all angles. A lot of it we don't want to take in, or I don't want to take in. It's like I'm constantly filtering. Maybe some of you have that experience. It's like you're filtering, what am I willing to take in, what am I not, what's too much? I think we have to work with that if we want to keep our hopes up. I think we have to be careful. We have to have a strategy for dealing with that. We don't want to let ourselves slip into cynicism and get hard and cynical. It's calcifying, as she says, dries up our lives, our energies. So we don't want to shut down on what's going on around us, on the challenges we're facing, but we have to practice self-care as well. We don't want to take in so much that we're constantly being barraged with negativity. We have to watch that. So adopt a strategy for dealing with the world. Third one, remember the models of hope in your life, those you've known or in your history or in the world. We have lots of beacons of hope, always have in our culture. I still am inspired by Fred Rogers. I love Fred Rogers, and he was a beacon of hope in all kinds of dark times. And after 9/11 and other things too, he would always say, look for the helpers. Look for the helpers. There's lots of people out there helping. There's lots of people doing good, courageous work to make things better. I love Jane Goodall, the work she does for wildlife. Her Book of Hope, a survival guide for trying times. Martin Luther King, in the civil rights movement, he said it's everything that is done in the world is done by hope. He said we must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. These are people. They were not casting a blind eye on what was going on around them. They were very well familiar with the challenges and the dark side of human life, but it didn't throw them. They didn't let it throw them. They stayed hopeful. They kept hope in their hearts and minds. I think we've all had people like this in our lives too, who just amaze us with their hopefulness, regardless of the challenges they're facing. I was thinking early in my life, I've probably shared before, my first minister in life we called Ingy, Reverend E.V. Ingraham. He was at a New Thought Temple in Cincinnati. That church is still there. It was called the Progressive New Thought Temple when I went there as a kid. And he was a light. He actually studied under the Fillmores, so this goes back a ways. And E.V. Ingraham, we called him Ingy. And lately, he just inspired so many people. He was my mother's guru throughout her whole life. Even when he moved away, she would talk to him on the phone once a week for spiritual direction and guidance. And she would put me on the phone with him sometimes too. And I always found him this channel of healing energy. But late in life, he lost his vision. He lost his sight. And I remember we went to visit. I was in my teens, maybe 15 or 16, something like that. And of course, everyone thought, this is so tragic. This is so unjust, a life like this. He's given so much to others and now lost his sight here in late life, and how difficult that is. But he had seen so much healing power at work in the world and in his life. He had channeled some of that healing power. It didn't throw him. So despite his loss of vision at that time, he remained very hopeful. It didn't throw him off course. He thought it very likely his sight would return. He was very expectant of that. He was wide open. His hopefulness was not damaged by that challenge. I found that very inspiring. I still do as I look back on that. And we know many people in our midst. They're dealing with physical challenges or mental challenges, and yet they're getting up every day. They're taking steps forward. They're remaining who they are. Kind people, courageous people. We all have these people in our lives. Let us be inspired by that. Let it remind us there's tremendous power in keeping our hopeful spirit alive. Fourth one I came up with, flex your hope muscle outwardly by finding something you can do that contributes to the good. It's definitely preaching to the choir in this community, because we have people who deliver meals, and we have people who do all kinds of service activities. And why do they do it? Because it makes us feel like we're on the side of building something good, right? We're contributing to something good with our energies. We have people that do a lot in this church, from decorating it to keeping the heat going. Thank you, Paul. Where are you, Paul? Keeping the heat going, keeping the plumbing going, any kind of number of things. We're so grateful for that service. And it gives us all a feeling of we're all, on the right side of things. We're helping to build something good. And that helps keep our hope alive, right? That helps us feel that hopeful energy in us. And when we do that with others as well, when we join together in some kind of collective action for the good in some way, it's very energizing. There's a special power in collective action. Would you agree? When we do things together, it's like even when we pray or meditate together, there's an energy that kicks in that's stronger than one individual praying alone. So flex our hope muscles by doing something for the good in the outer world, and then flex our hope muscles inwardly through our prayer and meditation practice, however that is, whether it's time spent in silence, whether it's audible prayers in the morning or before bed, prayers for ourselves, prayers for our loved ones, prayers for our world, for our earth. Prayer is always something we can do. We set out positive intentions. In Unity, we talk about affirmative prayer is our approach. We hold the highest vision. We try to lift our thoughts up against what's wrong. what we don't want, and we try to keep our focus on what we want. What do we want to contribute to? What do we want to be a part of? What kind of a world do we want to see? What kind of thriving, life do we want to have all around us? That's what we want to do. And we hold that vision. If there's someone we're concerned about, we hold that vision of them as healthy and strong and well. We do that for ourselves, for our loved ones, for living beings everywhere. We believe there's power in it. We believe it's what Jesus taught. He said, whatever you ask for in prayer, whatever you desire, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Hold that vision. Hold that vision. It's a strong possibility. Things have been planted. There are seeds planted. There are seeds planted in us and in our world. Emmett Fox said, prayer is the only force that changes things. Holding those highest thoughts in our minds and hearts, it's powerful, powerful stuff. We used to say, thoughts held in mind produce in kind. Anyone heard that expression? It's just what we're thinking about tends to manifest outwardly. So we want to hold a high vision. If there's someone you're concerned about, hold a high vision of them as healthy and well and strong and moving forward with great life and energy and hopefulness. So I think like the Christmas characters, we can remain hopeful no matter what challenges or confusion or turmoil might be around us at any time in our lives or in our world, because we know this is a God-infused universe, that there are greater possibilities than we can imagine, always have been, always will be, that new life is always emerging in us and in our communities and in our world. Regardless of the darkness or the challenges, there's still always this emergent life, this power and presence that infuses our lives, our world. So we remain hopeful, holding the highest in our minds and hearts, and not letting ourselves be derailed by cynicism or despair. So here's my affirmation for the day, if you'd like to join me in it. My hope is grounded in God. I will not be moved. Would you like to join me in that? My hope is grounded in God. I will not be moved. Let's take that into prayer for a moment and affirm that truth in our minds and hearts. We have good reason to be hopeful. We are grounded in God, a source of all our good, a source of tremendous energy, renewing life, powerful wisdom, amazing peace. That's our source that we can draw from and that is always active within us and in our midst and all around our beautiful planet Earth. There is no place where God is not. So we are hopeful. We have a resilient, persistent hopefulness, and we are grateful. And so it is. Amen. All right, we have another song, and I think it's going to be a Christmas song, so you can probably hum along if you want to, right, Lizzie?
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
thanks to Joanne for that really hopeful message. And that's something that we really need to hear. And also, thanks to our musicians, Lizzie and Michael. Beautiful. The last song, Lizzie, was one of my favorites, and so I really enjoyed it. Thank you. And then our AV technicians, Joe and Mike. Thank you. And also, Candy was back there, and I was watching her putting together this wonderful spread. So if you have a few moments, please join us back in the gathering space. And also a warm thank you to everyone for your tithes and donations that keep our ministry going. We're grateful for your support. Again, just briefly recapping, don't forget about yoga, Thursday, 1 o'clock. Probably really need it this time of year especially. And thanks to Tamara for that. And these following events all happen at 7 o'clock, I happen to notice. The Christmas Remembrance Service this Tuesday, December 17th, right here at the church. And then, this is the only thing that is not, this is 4 o'clock, the Christmas caroling at the Abington of Powell. And then the Solstice Concert by Bill Cohen and friends on Saturday at the Unitarian Church. And again, our Christmas Eve candlelighting service, Tuesday, December 24th. This is really hard to remember because Christmas is on Wednesday. So it's Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. It's a beautiful service. And let's see, any other announcements? Paul?
Just men's dinner, Wednesday night at Mi Cerritos. Mexican at its best.
At 6.
6.
Like 6. Yeah, not 7, 6.
And a warm thank you to everybody that decorated the church this past week.
Yes.
It's really good, amazing when you get a group of women together and everyone tries to work together and be respectful of each other's ideas. But we do it. So, if there are no more announcements, it's time to circle up for the peace song.